Okay, episode number 37 of the absolute worst franchise in modern sports. Wow, I'll tell you, I don't. Well, I have to be very honest with you. I'm in a very rough spot right now. So my mother-in-law just got here from Dallas, right? Now she knows that I'm nuts with certain things, but I gotta tone it down with certain things. So I do have to get a few things off my chest, but I'm going to say it a little lower than I usually would. Number one, I can't fucking stand football. I hate it. I loathe it. I abhor. Here's a good word for you: football. I fucking hate it. I sit there like all of us, again, like this. Write down a note, penalty. What a fucking bunch of losers these guys are. All right. So rather than just throwing 90,000 expletives out here, let me tell you my biggest takeaway. All right. They hired the wrong person. I'll be the first one to say it. Okay. Does this look like a team that has a modicum of a plan? Does it look like, all we heard all summer was they tackle, they hit, they tackle, they hit. This team's fucking worse than they were last year with Saleh. They are worse. Wow. So they just look like they haven't practiced, which is the worst thing that you can't offer a more harsh indictment of a team than to actually sit, like doing what I do for a living, to open up a microphone and say, this team, any team, but in our case, this team, does not look as if they practice. They don't look like they practice. Like, I talk about this. How I coach the kids. I coach a few of my son's teams and my daughter's teams. Imagine like if a parent walked up to me or an opposing coach, man, you guys suck. Do you guys even practice? Like, it's the most demeaning thing that you could possibly say about do you even practice? So I've got some real serious reservations about my man AG. I just do. And when they hired him, I was pumped. Okay. And I'm not fully abandoning ship. I think that for anybody to do that after 4 games is obviously completely missing the mark. It's just not sensible. But there are early signs that he is overwhelmed and that it is just a too big of a job for him. Now, let me get to his boy Muji. Muji, this roster that you put together is absolute trash. This roster stinks. The entire secondary is garbage. Garbage. You have, I do this for a living. And if there was a gun to my head, I'm not even sure if I can name all the wide receivers outside of Garrett Wilson on the fucking team. I don't even know if I know them all because there's such nobodies, such non-entity. Who are these guys opposite Garrett Wilson? Who are they? Now, Mason Taylor looks good. So at least Muji or Moogie, I still don't even know how you say his name. It looks like you got that one right. The Jets' inability to tackle is just disgraceful that they cannot wrap up. And I mean, like, there's 2 elements of tackle. There's probably more than 2, but I'm not a football coach. I'll just dumb it down. I can probably get deeper in the weeds. But the first thing you got to do is you got to be in the right position. All right. You got to have your shoulder pads square and you got to be low and you got to look at the belt so you get the center of gravity because that like the head fake can fool you. The arm can fool you. The belt's not fooling you. So there's certain things that you have to lock in on to know where the guy's going to go. They don't do that well. That's a given. But then even when they actually get to a body, they can't bring anybody down. They need like 4 or 5 guys. Come on in, guys. Let's call them the backup. Wow, their tackling is heinous. It is despicably bad how this team tackles. Now, let me get to the most overrated player in the NFL, Sauce. Absolute waste of a contract. I don't care what anybody says anymore about, I'm not calling him Sauce anymore. Last year I called him Soft Gardner. Now I'm just going to call him Gardner, all right? Because he's at this point, he just looks like a guy. I don't care how many times great, coaches or, Dan Orlovsky. And by the way, how bad was that broadcast team tonight? They messed up every graphic. Like the Jets had the ball on like 4th down and it said Dolphins 3 for 5 4th down conversions. They got 3 or 4 things wrong. The broadcast team was atrocious. Okay. So, and I noticed that when I get in one of these moods, everything starts to bother me. The commercials bother me. The announcers bother me. But really, those announcers were awful tonight. Right. But I can't tell you how many people that I do respect tell me how good Gardner is. Can I ask why? What does he do? He doesn't tackle. He doesn't turn you over. He never blitzes and gets a sack. What the hell does he do? What does he do? So, I mean, Garrett Wilson is an absolute stud. Baller. They paid him. That was the right move. Paying Gardner was the wrong move. And that is not an early read. That is one amazing first year and then really regression in the years following that. And here we are, a dude who just never shows up on, like, you forget about a pick six or, popping a ball loose, a strip sack on the blitz, or I don't even hear him. I don't even hear his name. I mean, the only thing the guy does is look good in a uniform. I mean, he looks good in a uniform. Maybe that's why everybody tells me how good he is, because he looks like a stud. He plays like ass. He doesn't do anything for the New York Jets. Zero. Let's see how this game started. First drive, fumble at the 1. And now Braylon Allen is probably out for the year because you have a 255-pound Mack truck back returning a kickoff. It's a smart move. That's a really smart move. So the first drive is a fumble. The second drive is a fumble. The third drive is a field goal that miraculously old man Folk hit. And then the fourth drive is a fumble. In the first half, they had 115 rushing yards. They had 5 penalties. 5 penalties. But it really hit me I didn't think this during the Steelers game. I choked up the Bills game as just a really bad game. Last week was maddening for a lot of different reasons, but they did have the spirited comeback, whatever. Okay. Tonight, it really, really hit me how low the Jets' talent base is. They got no fucking talent. They have no talent. Where's the talent? They really don't have any. And these stupid procedural, where is the one with Lazard? Why is this bum on the team? Can somebody explain to me? Aaron Rodgers is gone. Why is he still here? Why is Lazard on the team? Where was it? It was, let's see. All right, so Allen hurt. Yeah, so they're down 3-zip. This is the Jets' second drive, right? And they have Hall with a 23-yard run and then Hall with a 4-yard run. Then Fields gets sacked. Then Mason Taylor had an 8-yard reception on 3rd down and 8, right? So they're moving the sticks a little bit. Before that, on the long run by Breece Hall, Taylor had a really good block. Now, it wasn't the kind of block where he popped him, but he sealed them off. He obviously the hands weren't outside the pads and he let go when he turned, but he got his way. He showed a willingness to block, and it was a really, really good block. Like, I can't emphasize enough. As pissed off as I am and as bad as they are, and as much as this season is going nowhere, Jets are picking top 3 or 4 in the draft. That's it. What a surprise. There's no great quarterback coming out. Yay, here we go. The luck of the Jets continues, right? So now you have on the Taylor 8-yard reception, now the Jets are at their own 41. It's 1st and 10. They've got momentum. Hall for 23, Hall for 4. The 8 yards for Taylor, illegal shift 5 yards. Illegal shift 5 yards. And then you had the neutral zone infraction by Miami, so you get those 5 yards back. Then on 2nd and 8, you get a false start. And then you get an illegal shift on Garrett Wilson. And then Fields fumbles. What? Just what? Oh, and then here's the false start by Lazard. You're a wide receiver. How do you false start? It's a wide receiver. Wow. So now this is the 3rd drive. fumble. This gets to a field goal. But, Jets have, let me see. It didn't really sabotage an amazing drive. Oh, hold on, I take that back. First and 10 at their own 36, and there's 46 seconds to go with 3 timeouts. This is the end of the first half, right? And that's when Davis had a little – they get to midfield, and right before that, you had the false start by Lazard when they're trying to get some momentum. Now, they got the 58-yard field goal by Folk. I know I called him old man Folk. I'm just pissed at everybody. I didn't mean to diss him. He drilled it. He kicked well tonight. But then here we are. You're down 10-3. All right, Jets get the ball back. You knew they'd be able to run. Fumble the opening kick. Isaiah Williams, whoever that is. Fumble. Oh, yeah. And then the indignity, right? So, and this is not a complaint. This is just the reality of it. Because I know what I do is it's a job that many of you would want, and I'm thankful. I've earned it, but I'm thankful, even though it is a job, right? It's not just sitting there with pom-poms rooting on the Yankees and these teams. Like, there's work, right? And this will attest to it. I'm sitting there, and I'm charting every single play. And I do the same thing for the Giants, right? I say this because last year I watched Darren Waller. That's a New York Giant. And what did he do? Nothing. 0. Hey, Darren Waller, come on down. Guess what? We're going to reignite your career tonight. Why? Because you're playing these losers. That's why. Because you're playing the Jets. Come on out. Monday Night Football. Remind the whole nation how good you once were. And by the way, that was, all nonsense aside, that was a great throw by Tua, who I don't think is that good at all. That was a sick throw. Now, who got beat? Sauce, of course, up top. Now, Waller's taller. But that was about as high level to throw because it wasn't just throwing it to a high side. I want to give credit where it's due. I don't want to be a complete maniac here. But not only was it high, but when you saw the other shot of it as Tua was rolling out, there was anticipation. So he let him a little bit. He was covered. Then he threw him open. Phenomenal. A+, sick throw right there. But this is just, I'll tell you. That I was just about to say the clock is ticking on Glenn. Let me just maintain an ounce of sensibility here. I'm not going to say that, but I am going to co-sign and restate what I said before. They may have hired the wrong person. They really might have. They really may have hired the wrong person. It can't be. It can't be said so often what you're going to curtail, the penalties, the undisciplined play, the lack of tackling, and then all of that not only remain, but in certain areas get worse. Ev, I don't even have it in front of me. I mean, I do, but it's under a million things on my computer. How many penalties did the Jets finish with? They have 11, 12, 13? How many did they have? Anybody know in the comments? Do you know how many penalties they finished with? You have the box score?
I'll look it up.
I just take my notes. I don't even look at the box score, but I mean, this was just this class. It's just atrocious, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my mother.
Here we go. Penalties. 13 for 101.
How many?
13 for 101.
13 penalties for 101. And they had 5 in the first, 8 in the second. So if you come out sloppy and, you get reamed at the half, hey, guys, we got 8 penalties in the first half. What are we doing? You're reading the riot act. They come out, they play buttoned-up football. The exact opposite, because they came out and they were sloppy with 5 in the first half. And then whatever was said at halftime, that wasn't enough because then they had 8 in the second half. So whatever messaging was said, it ain't working. Now, I do want to be fair. I want to look at some of these comments in a moment, but I want to be fair. If we can get back to the full screen, I'm going to pull you back in after. Thanks, buddy. The talent base, we can't be unrealistic here, right? I really did think because the Jets do have a few although Gardner is not nearly what I and many of us thought that he was. So he has now been relegated to basically non-factor. He now annoys me. So forget about being a superstar. He's becoming a guy very fast, right? But before that, and not even last week, I said the same thing with Sal. Sal's been saying that for a while. I resisted it. I said it this week on the Fan after the last game. He does nothing. I'm tired of him. But there was a thought, because he was great his first year, he made a Pro Bowl as well, like in addition to being all pro year one, where he was, I thought he was going to be a transformative kind of player. I mean, I really did. So between him and Quinnen Williams, I know Quincy's hurt, who I love, and I like Sherwood. I'm sure I'm missing a player, but if everybody tells me Michael Carter is such a great slot corner, is he really? I mean, a great nickel. What the hell does he do? Does he make any plays either? Oh, his PFF grade is this. How about you ever break up a pass? You ever put one on the turf? You ever get a pick? Michael Carter, what does he do? And then the second corner is an absolute waste of money and space. And then you get further onto the third level, and every one of those cats it's just, they're garbage. They Adams, Cisco, take them all. They all stink, right? So there really just is a painful shortage of talent. There's not much here. So while I say that I'm worried about Glenn, he might not be the right man for the job. Muji, you assembled an awful roster. You might not be the right man for the job. But I will balance it with, at least by understanding and pointing out that their talent base is not very good. So I don't. Can you make a poor tackler or a good tackler? I don't know. I didn't coach football. I played football for 2 years. That's it. That wasn't my sport. I watch it like you. I know it on a level that many of you know it. Maybe a little bit more in certain spots, but I only played for 2 years and I hated it because I played the offensive line. A million years ago, when we never, I should have been playing quarterback, but they didn't throw back then. So I'm on the old line. I'm getting pushed around because I wasn't big. I'm like, this sucks. I'd rather play football in the street, throwing the Nerf ball 45, 50 yards on a fly from my telephone pole to my buddy's Tommy's telephone pole in front of his house. So, I'm not going to get in the weeds schematically, try to be something that I'm not. But so I honestly don't know the answer. I mean, if I think about it in baseball terms or basketball terms, can you make a poor defender a plus defender? I don't know that you can make him a plus defender. You can probably make him a passable defender, a competent defender, like Wade Boggs is somebody who comes to mind. I know this is not the time to bring it up because he regressed starkly this year, but Pete Alonso was a fire hydrant at first base. And he at least became competent until he forgot how to throw and all the other stuff that infiltrated his game this year. So I do believe hard work and repetition could get you from bad to average or average to slightly above, but you're not going from bad to good. There's not many examples of that. And I'm sorry. And every single week they tackle like it's optional. It is just utterly disgraceful how they tackle. God, they stink. All right. Glenn is not on the field. And now we'll see what happens with all the comments. I'm reading one and then more come in. So I kind of lose it. So I can't necessarily do it verbatim. Again, I didn't even see who it was from. Basically, somebody's getting on me for getting on Glenn, basically saying that, he didn't fumble. And I understand that. I get that. Players have to do their job. Understood. That's why he cut Gibson after week 1 because he didn't do his job and he wasn't doing it well before he got here. I get that. But your job as a coach is to have your team certainly in a timely manner, getting the plays in. That's also coordinators. There's an execution and there's a learning curve. I get it. But then don't feed us the nonsense of, I don't know what the same old Jets is. We're not the same old Jets. You're right. You're worse. You're absolutely worse in certain areas than the same old Jets. I will give them credit, though. I will not about Aaron. I'm going to still. I'm not going to blindly state anymore, which is what I did when they hired him, that I believe that he's going to turn this around. I have no idea. I don't. A lot of what I said when he was brought in, he was with Detroit, even though their defense was he's a Parcells guy. He's a Jet. I love this press conference. He's no nonsense. He's old school. Virtues that I hold near and dear to my heart. But that was all a projection. Now I'm reacting to what I'm seeing. And what I'm seeing is slop. So why should I be impressed? Of course, it's not his fault that Allen fumbled at the 1. I get that. But what about the 13 penalties? What about the shoddy tackling from week 1, play 1? I mean, that's not on me. That's not on the audience. That's his team. And now what Aaron's done, and unfortunately, is he's been a little, I don't know if the word's combative, but he's certainly resisted that narrative. And guess what? Now it's going to come back. And it's going to come back to him, hey, coach, I go on the air right after these games. I don't know what he said in his press conference. I'm recording it. I'll watch it tonight, talk about it tomorrow on The Fan. But if I'm a reporter in that room, not that I'm trying to, be disrespectful or make his life unnecessarily complicated, but at some point, somebody's got to circle back to, hey, coach, you told us we're not the same old Jets. Well, and ask him to expand on that. He's the one who keeps bringing it up about the same old Jets, the stories, the narratives, the scouting report, the characteristics of a losing franchise. He brought it up. So it's fair game. I mean, it really is. God. What's this here? You have to talk about the fair catch at the 2-yard line. That's coaching. That's awareness. That is having no clue what you're doing. That is not being buttoned up, period. By the way, I'm going to take you on a little ride here, right? I was actually thinking, I'm like, just, you know what? Make sure you don't tweet the wrong thing here, because I was getting perilously close to just, ripping off something absolutely. I mean, I've never done that, and I don't plan on doing it, but I was tempted. All right, so let's see. Oh, this one. Oh, this is a quick aside. As I look at my tweets here, I did tweet this one. I was tweeting a lot today. I usually don't tweet that much. I said, I'm still not sure why the Mets booth had such an issue with the Marlins taking a team photo. Pretty damn petty, actually. Yeah, what was up with that? Gary Cohen and Ronnie, what are you complaining about, dude? They're taking a picture. Relax. It's not their fault you guys choked. All right. Now, yeah, the first tweet was, well, and I was still in a decent mood because I'm like, they'll run the ball on them all night and it'll be a tight game. We'll have a chance to win. Well, that's a new script. And then what I meant, and with a little laughing emoji, what I meant by that was, usually most Jet teams come out and they don't score. They don't move the ball. You sit there and you're bored to tears. It's 10-0 at the half. We're 13-3 late in the third quarter. I mean, like the last 10 years or so. What I mean by it's a new script, they looked amazing. And they had, I think, 12 of the first 13 plays were runs. They had like 76 yards, I think it was, 76 or 67 in the first drive. And then, so the new script will be they look amazing and then they fumbled at the 1. That's new, right? And then the next tweet, this Jets defense is absolute dog shit. The next tweet, I subtweeted that the New York Jets history Twitter account. They do a good thing. They wrote, I can't take much more of this. And I just wrote terminal pain, terminal torture. And then my guy Rami at the station writes, sauce stinks. And I wrote, subtweet, does absolutely nothing, as overrated as a player as anybody in the NFL. I mean, I saw the tweet barrage here. Then I wrote, truth of the matter, in totality, the Jets' talent base is absolute garbage. And then I wrote, yay, let's fair catch at the 2, locked in squad. And then poor Joe Namath jumps into it. And Joe writes, I've got to believe the Jets can play better. Poor Joe. Poor us. At least Joe won. We need to stay positive and hope they come out firing. So I subtweeted Joe, and I just wrote Joe, they absolutely suck. And then I subtweeted my earlier tweet about, with the link to this for the Unkillable YouTube live reaction, I wrote, for some idiotic reason, I'm going to waste more time and energy talking about these losers. Join me, why don't you? It's been that kind of night, huh? A lot of fun. It doesn't mean that Aaron's not going to grow into a good coach, but this is what people mean when we talk about hiring somebody with experience. Like if the Jets, they could have had Harbaugh. I don't even know if he would have wanted this job a couple of years ago. Man, why would you? They probably wouldn't, But when you hire somebody who's never done it before, I don't care how bright they are and how inherently good you feel about the move. It's just a lot harder. Everything's new. They're starting over. There's no real plan. It's all it's all trial and error. And with a tortured fan base and a disgruntled, disenfranchised fan base like this fan base, I mean, the tolerance it's already over. And the bottom line is, it is not even October. Here, I was texting Sal earlier, right? And he wrote back, and he's right. I'm not going to read it, but he basically said something like, they're already irrelevant. They're already, if they lose this, they're already irrelevant. It's not even October. It's not even October. And the New York Jets are already irrelevant. At least the Giants, now they lose neighbors, but at least the Giants have Dart, and Fields had that electric run, but man, he throws the ball. Some of his throws are awful. The first throw of the night to Breece Hall is wide open. It's a knuckleball. My son, who's 10 years old and plays quarterback, he's like, Dad, he's like, that wasn't even a spiral. And like Breece had to jump up and contort himself. Put it on his fucking hands. Let's see. What about a big-time college coach? Nah, I'm not looking at that. There was, I stopped taking notes at the last 5-6 minutes. I really did. But you just, I just don't feel like, I just don't feel like they're well run. And I didn't think I'd be feeling that. I'm just coming real. I thought, I'm going to take you back to my mindset during the summer. And I said, now keep in mind, AVT was still healthy. I wanted Memboot, so I love him. Fashion was going to be really good. Pittman's solid, whatever. So I knew the O-line would be good. And I knew that they would commit to running the ball. And I knew that Fields would make some plays with his legs. And by doing that, I thought it would kind of open up some bigger gash plays for Garrett Wilson. And it actually has. The big throw against the Steelers tonight could have had 2 touchdowns. Yeah, that the PI, that was the right call. He extended his arm. What a brilliant catch, though. My God, Garrett Wilson is just ridiculously good. He is so talented. What a gamer. What a stud. But the point is, as I assess the Jets, and I'm like, all right, you got Jermaine Johnson coming back. You got Q. You got Quincy. You got Sherwood. You got Gardner. I knew they'd miss DJ Reed. But I didn't think they'd miss him this much. I just thought, I'm like, man, how could they not, if they just get past the first month, and here we are, just squeeze out a win? I thought they'd beat the Steelers. They almost did. I didn't think they'd beat the Bills. Last week I wasn't really sure. I picked Tampa to win, but before the year, I'm like, they got a chance. Tampa, I respect Bowles and I respect Baker. Godwin didn't play. Half their own line didn't play. So I'm like, in real time, I'm like, they can win this game. Of course they didn't. And then tonight, I'm like, Miami was on the precipice of a mutiny. You think they really loved the coach? I mean, Tyreek Hill had no explosive plays until tonight, until he got hurt. That was gruesome, dude. I can't watch that anymore. For a guy whose knee went completely the wrong direction, he was frighteningly calm. I actually wondered to myself, I don't think that they do this. I got to ask Tiki. I really don't think that they do this. I'm sure they would do this in the ambulance. I'm sure they would do this in the tunnel if they had to, in the locker room. An injury like that, where I don't mean an ACL or a busted shoulder or an MCL, even an Achilles, which is very painful, and I had that. It's painful. But I mean like dislocated ankle, like Dak a couple of years ago, or what happened to Joe Theismann years ago with LT, or what happened tonight to Tyreek Hill. Like, I wonder, I'm like, did they just shoot him up with adrenaline or some sort of, in the huddle when he was on the field, because he's waving to the crowd like, this guy is as tough as nails. And I'm saying to myself, well, maybe he's still in shock, but his facial expression didn't seem like he was. That was absolutely horrendous. But the point is about the Jets, they had no explosive plays until Tyreek got loose before he got hurt. They were winless. Their defense stinks. Jets ran all over them. Dolphins are going absolutely nowhere this year. So as I formulated what the Jets could be this year, part of my calculus was, well, Miami's not going to be that good. I know the Patriots put 40-something up this weekend, and Vrabel is the guy that I actually really wanted. Glenn was number 2 for me. Vrabel was always my guy. Look back at the old pods. I'm not just saying that now. But still, I mean, they're a year or two away from, I would think, being really, really good. And now, you're going to play the Bengals without Burrow. Dallas defense is horrendous. That's a home game. I thought that if things went well, I'm thinking maybe 9-8. This was, again, later stages of the summer. 9-8 with a, maybe a little luck on the periphery of the wild card. So, like, if you're sitting there in December and you see in the hunt on the graphic, they're actually in the hunt, a puncher's hunt, not leading anything, but a puncher's shot. They're 0-4. I mean, is this 3-14? Is that what it is? And if it's 3-14, what do you do at quarterback next year? What do you do? Steve Wilkes will be gone, and no freaking chance he's back. So that was a bad hire by Aaron Glenn. We can wonder whether or not the Jets hired the right or the wrong person in Glenn. And I know it's still early for Aaron. It's not too early for me to say Aaron Glenn, absolutely butchered the decision to hire Wilkes. Awful choice. And really everybody in the NFL knew it. Not one person was like, wow, that's a good hire by AG. Everybody was like, why would you hire him? And now you're saying it even louder. He's bad. Worst team in the NFL, same old Jets. Keep hiring first-time coaches. This is what you get. Yeah. Oh my God. Typical Jets 0-4. Dropping my pen. I'll tell you, I'm not too far away from this podcast just being hopped up on gummies. Yeah, I'm kidding you. I'm not sitting through this nonsense for the next 3 months, actually, sitting there taking notes and actually presenting the mechanics of the game, loss after loss after. If I'm gonna have to have fun, I might have to start taking gummy here. So I don't want it though. Ev, jump in for a second, my man. Evan, he is part of the miserable crew as well. We love him. Look at him. He is still young. You see, I am not young. I am not old, but I'm not young. You see little smile lines here. I got a couple of years, been in the sun, play ball, whatever. Been around a little bit. This young man is still young. Look at that young face. 20, how old are you again? 20?
25.
25. It's a young man. Check back in 3 years. Let's see what he looks like. Check back in 5. I mean, he is going to be, check back in 10. He is going to be a beaten down figure, a withered human being compared to what he looks like right now because of the football team that, like idiots, we all chose to root for. So congratulations, Ev.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I never realized going into the past couple of days, I was like, I really hate the Atlanta teams. I really hate the Philly teams in the NFL. I really hate the New England teams. I never realized how much the Miami teams, they've destroyed my entire life the past couple of days.
I can't stand that team.
The Marlins and the Dolphins have destroyed everything in my being the last 2 days.
Right.
And I don't know what to do.
Listen, by the way, I don't know if you're a big Knicks guy, but the Heat have given us a couple of tough losses over the year. Now, we got them a bunch as well, but the Heat have hurt us too. Pat Riley leaving, them winning championships, Ewing getting none, D. Wade getting his with LeBron and Bosh. Yeah, see, Miami was the team that I couldn't stand growing up because the Bills were irrelevant. The Patriots were fairly irrelevant, and the Dolphins had Dan Marino. And we had, older Jet fans know this. We had some amazing high-scoring shootouts, Wesley Walker, Kenny O'Brien, some fun games. They're on YouTube, like 54-45, but I don't know, whatever the score was, that crazy game where Wesley had 4 touchdowns. But we had a lot of really fun battles, but we would usually come up on the wrong end of the stick. And they had Don Shula. We didn't. They had Dan Marino. We didn't. So that was the team. And there were a lot of guys in my neighborhood growing up in the 80s that liked the Dolphins. No, I couldn't stand them. They're stupid. The orange and teal uniforms and that stupid little dolphin. They try to make the dolphin, and I love animals. I mean, dolphins are beautiful animals, but they try to make a dolphin look tough and intimidating. Their field sucks. That field looks like it should be in the middle of Germany or somewhere else in Europe. It's full. It's a soccer stadium that they happen to play football at. The turf is terrible. Everybody was slipping. Everybody complains about the MetLife turf. The turf tonight was terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, it looked like they just had a concert there. It was like the green was like 19 different shades of green. It was nuts.
It really was. It was.
And the craziest thing for me too this past week was I was like, they trade for Brownlee, right? From the Titans.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is an interesting. Let's look on Twitter, see if there's any of these people who have a breakdown. The first thing I see, he's walking in with a boot to last week's game with the Titans. I was like, so we just traded for a guy who's going to be useful when we're 0-8. What is going on?
I know. I saw that too. What? What is this? Is this now? Did I miss something here? I saw this. Hold on. Where's Connor? Connor's really good. Connor Hughes. I like Connor.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's being facetious here. He wrote. Remember when Glenn and Garrett and hold on. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Hop on. Actually, you do this, Ev. Hop on Soch, right?
Yeah.
Go to Connor because he tweeted, I'm not going to tweet. I will not write about what happened between Aaron Glenn and Garrett Wilson on the sideline. Now, it's funny because my wife even said, oh, what's going on with them? And I said, no, I said, I think Garrett loves him, but I know Aaron loves him. I don't know if Connor, if I missed a joke in there or something like that. And then it says,
yeah, I see that.
44 anything going on?
It doesn't. He hasn't said. He said Aaron Glenn giving a very passionate speech to the Jets locker room. Can hear it outside the other side of the wall. He was laying into them quite a bit, which is.
I see that. Yeah. If you go down about 3 or 4 tweets below that on his timeline.
I see that. I will not write about what happened with Aaron Glenn.
You see that, right?
On the sideline. I know right after he scored that touchdown, that was like, it was like they were reviewing it and everything. I know they were having a pretty like passionate moment on the sideline.
Yeah, but I thought it was like, hey, I got you. Hey, I thought it was all like rooted and good. I thought it was just two winners, even though he literally hasn't won yet as the head coach of the Jets. But as a player and as a man, he's absolutely a winner. Let's not get it twisted with Aaron Glenn. I mean, that man's rooted in all things good. Just don't know if he's going to be a good coach, but he is a winner. And so is Garrett Wilson. So I just assumed that it was almost like AG saying, hey, hold it together. I know it's tough. Like something along the lines of trying to be more together. I don't know. I find out what happened when I get off the pod here. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely a pretty unique thing. We had a couple.
Now people are writing Garrett Wilson was. I know he was in his face. I didn't see like he was in his face. You thought that Garrett Wilson was in Aaron Glenn's face? I didn't take it that way.
Oh, it says all these people in the comments are saying it's rooted in a joke that Connor wrote about Dart and the Giants with Dable and Dart.
Got it. Okay, I figured it. All right, because I love Connor. I think he's very good at his job.
Yeah.
So, all right, good. All right, well, that's one less thing we have to worry about.
Exactly.
At least the star player isn't about to say tomorrow, trade me.
Exactly.
No, he's good.
Yeah. Now, some of the catches he makes are insane. It's like, and it's crazy because it feels like every quarterback he has, he just makes the guy probably look 2 times better than he is. It's insane. He just comes out and he's the only option. So it's the way he manages to get open is crazy to me.
I don't even think
they don't have to block anybody.
Did they even target another receiver? I'm not talking about Mason Taylor. It was a tight end.
I think Josh Reynolds may have got like a very small one over the middle, but I
know he was open on one of them and he didn't throw it to him. I didn't like the 4th and 1 play call to Isaiah Davis. And even Orlovsky's like, you got to put the ball in the hands of your best player.
Exactly.
Did you think, again, I want to make sure I'm not just wrapped up in being pissed off here. I thought they missed a couple of late hits on Justin Fields tonight. I really did.
Yeah, no, there was that one where and the other craziest thing was there was that one call where they called, I think it was holding on the Jets, and then they show Joe Tippmann's helmet getting ripped off. They rip off something else pops out. I don't know what that was. Something he wears under. Maybe it was part of his helmet.
No, his helmet was off. It was hands to the face, clearly. And Tippmann even put his hands back like, whoa, do you guys see what's going on? Rather than retaliating. So he showed some restraint there. And that would have been, instead of a penalty on the Jets, that would have been offsetting penalties, and that hurt them.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah. It's just,
I'm
it's just,
I'm going to sleep, dude.
I got you.
Hey, listen, I wish I had more for you tonight, guys, but I got to save it for the fan tomorrow. Why is Brees on the? Maybe I'll just look at a couple more comments. Why is Brees on the sideline so much? I don't know. Maybe he's gassed. Maybe he's not in great shape. Maybe he's putting his hand up and saying, "Help me out." Fumbled on the one says it all. Oh, the pain. Yeah, no. Dolphins are terrible. Still managed to beat the Jets. God awful. I guess this is the question. 2-15. Yeah, 2-15 is AG fired. Man, I can't imagine that they. I can't imagine they fire him under any circumstance. I really can't. Sauce is trash. Refs and penalties cost the game. I don't want to hear about the refs. Even though I brought it up, I mean, I've been on the air for what, 40 minutes and 25 seconds. I just brought it up 3 minutes ago about the late hits on Justin Fields. Stop. Yeah, nobody wants to hear from the Jet fan. Listen, I mean, the Dolphins, everybody gets bad calls. Come on. So what? Are you telling me that wasn't an offensive pass interference on Garrett Wilson? It was. He clearly disengaged with his arm right before, and that's what got him the separation, independent of how amazing the catch was. If he doesn't get that little shove, does he make the catch? I'm not so sure. That's an easy call. They got that one right. Did they miss a couple? Yeah, they did. There was one procedural one that was that the Lazard one? No, I think that was Fields on the illegal shift or so. They all blend together. I don't even know. 13 penalties. Basically, everybody's guilty. All right, I'm out. I can't do this anymore tonight. I'm not wasting any more time. Listen, I appreciate you guys hanging out. We will do this again during the week. We'll do it again when they lose to the Cowboys. I'm sure they'll lose this game now. Who knows where it goes? It's going to. This is just the reality of New York and a team that has this heaviness around them for this long. It is, whether it's right or wrong, it is already going to be ugly for Aaron Glenn. That's the way this works. I can promise you that there are going to be a lot of people calling me tomorrow saying they hired the wrong guy. He's not it. He should be fired after the season. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen. Doesn't mean that they'll be right. But this is now just something else that just kind of suffocates and clouds the whole operation. It can never just be smooth. It can never just get off the ground, little success early, build it incrementally. You know, like all the other teams in the NFL, win a game that you're not supposed to win. Like they can never do that. It is just so disheartening. And it's our pathetic, but very real and very unfortunate reality. So there is to it. There's no way to go. There's nowhere to go. My son actually, and he was kidding. He was kidding. And because he knows dad would never go for this, and he's not like this either. But at one point, he's 10. He says to me right before Fields' run, he goes, Dad, and he was kind of smiling because he knew my reaction. He goes, Dad, can we just switch teams? Oh, God. He actually said that. And I know he didn't say it like with this longing face, like, Dad, that would hurt more. But he said it in a jovial way, which means I now know that he's old enough, even at 10, to understand how shitty his football life is, you know? And I said, never. That's not how we do it, you know? And then literally next play, Fields housed it for 45 or 44, whatever it was. I said, you see? I said, that's why, of course, they lose the game, but, you know, at least it was a nice moment for a second. All right, guys. See you tomorrow on the Fan at 10 with Sal. A lot of Yankees tomorrow. We'll keep finishing up, you know, what the Mets are going to do. This Jet situation, which is absolutely an eyesore, grotesque. It stinks. I'm very worried about this, the future here with the coach. He has rattled my confidence. There is no way around it. Hey, if you got Jet fans around the country, let them know. All right, send them the link to the YouTube, Apple, Spotify, download. The more you guys download, the more I can do. All right, the more downloads we get, the more budget we can do, the more things we can do with guests and maybe take the show on the road if they ever get good, which they probably never will. But the more you follow this, the more you consume this, the more you talk about this on social and get the word out there about the Unkillable pod. Trust me, if you like me, if you like what I do, then you're doing me a solid and you'll get more of this, okay? Having said that, hey, unkillable, hence the name. No matter what you do, you can't snuff out our soul. We are here forever as soldiers of these losers. Have a great night, everybody. I'll catch you tomorrow at 10. Bye-bye.